So this is a demonstration of my Linux system. There's no real point to it, just a quick tour around it, now that I have it properly configured. First of all, under Linux, you use the keyboard at least as much as you use the mouse to accomplish what you want to do. So I'm running the latest Linux kernel and the Zen version of it, which is tuned for desktop usage, which means web browsing and playing games and stuff like that. It's not tuned for purposes such as a server or something. Okay, so now I have down here my launcher. This is how I interact mostly with the system. Here's an applications menu. So in here are all the installed software that I use. So that kind of stuff. Now, over here is a combination file chooser and file system browser. So I can open that up and I can go into it, and here's where all my personal files are, like these books here. So I can open up a specific book like that, and make it bigger. So this kind of stuff, And I can also, with the same chooser, if I actually want to do something with files, rather than choose a file, you can choose a file with it. You get your stuff, But if I want to not just choose a file, I can go to this and open the folder. And then, I'm in all the files and I can do stuff with them. And then, of course, I would have showed the terminal, the old standard web browser, Chromium. So this web browser, it's the free version of Chrome. So it gets rid of the Google branding, but it's still Google Chrome, just without the branding. And everything works as you'd expect in a desktop system. You're here to get your stuff done, so you can watch YouTube and all sorts of stuff. And everything works as you'd expect. So, it's a functional Linux system. All the basic desktop tasks that Windows does, Linux also does. Okay. And this is all just one desktop. Now let's open some places in the file system. So we got this. Now if you open the same place, it won't open another window because you already have a window open. But if you open a different place, then it'll open a different window. Now this spawns your file systems when you open a folder with it, and then you got this, right? And this lets you choose between the open windows you have. So I choose documents, or I can bring that one to the front, that kind of stuff. Now on this thing here, there's also, you can bring it to the corner and it'll make it like that. You can bring it to the other corner and it'll make it like that. That helps when you're working with files. So you can do that kind of stuff. And if you bring it to the top, it fills up the entire screen. And that works for all windows. Now this is just one desktop. There's actually 4 desktops in this system. So you got the desktop I was on right here, and these 3 other desktops. And you can switch. Now here's where the keyboard control comes in. All of the desktop management that I have set up, it's all by keyboard control. I use the keyboard as much as I use the mouse. So getting to this view, by example, can only be done from the keyboard. There's no way to get into this from the mouse, right? So with the keyboard, you can rotate through your 4 desktops that you have. You can also rotate with a window or without the window if you want to move them around desktops very quickly with the keyboard. So let's bring that window back. You can have other windows, like say this terminal window. I'll move to this desktop and I'll move back. Now down here, if I click it here, it automatically moves to the desktop it's on. Same with this one. If I click it here, it moves to the desktop it's on. So that's how it will manage things for you. So that's how that goes. Oh, I left the terminal there. Let's get rid of that one too. And go back to this one. So that's basically how it works. And the major components are the GNOME Flashback environment, which gives you the pinnacle of x.org on Linux. And then it has compiz set up and configured. So I have this hidden because I already have, it's configured now, so I hid it from the menus. But this is the compiz, and you can set this up for all those desktop effects, and there's hundreds of valid ways to set it up. And same with this. This other component is cairo-dock. Same thing. There's hundreds of ways to set it up. I've configured it the way I want, right? So I have my desktop environment that's tailored to exactly what I want. That's the freedom Linux gives you. You can set it up exactly the way you want, and once it's set up, then you're good. It's done. You're set up. And I happen to like it a lot more than Windows, just for aesthetics. I think it looks better. And the weakness of Linux is gaming, but I can play quite a few Windows games through translation layers with, little to no problems. And that's nice, so I get the best of both worlds.